next set of questions. So here is the set of questions. Everyone got this? I'm going to ask all of the questions that come with this set so you're not lost. First question. If the world cannot exist without Torah, we said that if there's even 1 second in the world that no human being is studying Torah, the whole world gets destroyed, right? Because the Torah is the condition of the world. God says, this is the GPS. I want you to be happy. I want you to make it. You need the Torah. This is why God put the mountain on top of the Jewish people's head, and he said, either you take it right now or that's it. We said, because the world cannot exist without Torah. So now the question would be, right? This is the first. If the world cannot exist without Torah, how did it exist until the giving of the Torah? If there was no Torah, how did it exist? But by the way, was it actually that there was no Torah? Right? That's a good question. Because we know, no, I'm not answering yet. We know that our patriarchs kept the whole entire Torah. The Torah says that we kept the patriarchs and anyone else that chose to be Jewish. This is how you knew who was Jewish. Rivka had 2 kids, Yaakov and Esau. One of them was Jewish, one of them was not, right? Why? Because one of them chose to keep the Torah, and the other one did not choose. But now this was before the giving of the Torah. So apparently there was Torah before God gave the Torah. So question, how was there Torah before God gave the Torah, right? By the way, not only did we say there was Torah before God gave the Torah, we get into something very complicated. What do we get into? Our rabbis teach us, right? Not only our rabbis teach us, but it's written in the Torah. We know that 3 angels came to visit Abraham. And they told him very big news. They said, at this time next year, your baby is going to be born. You're going to have a baby. Now, what day of the Jewish calendar is Yitzchak born? Anyone knows? I said this, right? What day of the Jewish calendar is Yitzchak born? The first day of Pesach. Yes? 15th of Nisan. What do you eat on Pesach? Matzah. Now, if you check out in the Torah, when Abraham had the 3 guests that came to visit him, what did he give them to eat? Matzah. So now you could say, oh, because people like crackers. No. He gave them matzah because it was Pesach. Now, what did I say was the problem with this? When did Pesach actually happen? 400 years later, right? Why do we eat matzah? Why is it that you think we eat matzah? Why is it that you think we eat matzah? Because when we left Egypt, there was no time to make bread, and therefore we ended up with matzah. Yes? But now, huge question. When Abraham had 3 guests, had he even gone down to Egypt? No. Egypt hadn't even happened. So now listen to this. This is a huge question. Not only did they keep Torah and mitzvot, yes, they keep all of the mitzvot that you think we keep because of result of history. Yes, everyone hears this? They were eating matzah before the whole reason for why we eat matzah ever happened, right? Not only that, we said there was another patriarch called Yaakov. Yaakov left the house of Laban. He fought with the angel. The Torah says the day he fought with the angel was Yom Kippur, tomorrow night, Tuesday night, right? Which holidays comes right after Yom Kippur? Sukkot. Check it in the Torah. Yaakov fought with the angel. What comes next? He built Sukkot, because it's a holiday of Sukkot. But now, why do we build Sukkot? What is the reason why we make Sukkot? Because when we left Egypt, there was this cloud of glory that accompanied the Jewish people for 40 years in the desert. For the miracle of the clouds of glory, we celebrate Sukkot, which represents you don't need shelter, God is your shelter. Beautiful. But now what is the problem? Yaakov is making Sukkot 400 years before we even needed Sukkot, right? So I thought we're doing Sukkot but Yaakov was already keeping Sukkot, right? And by the way, we see this all of the time. You know, according to a Rambam, the reason why we keep mitzvot outside of Eretz Israel is because we're training in order to keep them when we go into Eretz Israel. I don't know if you noticed this, but most mitzvot of the Torah are much more strict and difficult in Eretz Israel. For example, if you're in America, what is the one thing you could eat that you always know it's kosher? Milk. Okay, fruit, right? Yes? If you check it for bug, you could always eat fruit. Fruit is always kosher. You know what's the most complicated thing to eat in Israel? Fruit. Because it depends, you know, how they planted. If they took out, there are these millions of mitzvot with the ground. Until the 3rd year of the tree, you can't touch it, and then you have to give 10%, and then you have to do this, and then every 7 years you cannot work the land, right? In Israel, everything is more strict. Outside of Israel, you make challah, right? So when you make your bread, your dough, you have to take out a little piece and like burn it or give it to, put it on a bag and throw it out. If you're making challah outside of Israel, right, and it's Shabbat, and you remember you forgot to take out your little challah, which is the little piece, no problem. You take it in the middle of Shabbat, and you say the blessing after Shabbat. But if in Israel, you forgot, you took out the challah, you can't eat your challah. It's forbidden. Because it's muktzeh. It's like, set aside, you didn't do a mitzvah. Because the mitzvah in Eretz Israel is that much more strict. Okay? So now, what does the Rambam says? The Rambam says, when we talk about we're going to have Mashiach and Eretz Israel, the mitzvot are made in order to be kept here. Beautiful. And therefore, why are we keeping them outside of Israel? Training camp. So now, I know what you're thinking. So if they're meant to be kept here, I'm not going to keep them outside. Okay. But if you ever go to the army, training is even more important than war. Because if you didn't train well, you're not going to be ready at war, okay? Obviously, you have to train. But now listen to what happened. One of the patriarchs did a very, very big sin. Something that's not allowed in the Torah. Yaakov married two sisters, Raquel and Leah. Yes? Is this allowed in the Torah? No. But now, according to a Rambam, we keep mitzvot outside as training, right? And therefore, when you cannot or you whatever, it's not a sin if you're not keeping the mitzvah outside of Eretz Israel. Technically, it is a sin, but it's not a sin, right? So now, one of his wives died. Which one died? Raquel. When did Raquel die or where? The Torah says specifically. On the outside of Eretz Israel. This is where she died. Isn't that huge? Why? Because outside of Eretz Israel, he needed to be married to two sisters. Why? That's Kabbalah. Kabbalah said he had two missions in life. Each one of his wives was the complement to one of his missions. When he finished his first mission, which was the name Yaakov, Raquel died. By the way, if you check it out in the Torah, from the moment Raquel died, Yaakov goes by Israel and not by Yaakov, which is really deep, but I'm not going to get into it. But she died right outside of Eretz Israel. Because outside, training camp. If I made a mistake, it's not the biggest mistake. But right when he went into Eretz Israel, Raquel died. Why? Because inside of Israel, you can't be married to two sisters. So the question here is, not only did they keep Torah, they kept Torah to perfection, including the laws of the Torah and the laws of the rabbis and the laws of everything. But the laws of the rabbis were made, and matzah was afterwards. How do we understand it? A last question for this section, yes? Every year, we read the Haggadah of Pesach. And in the Haggadah of Pesach, you have all of these fun songs. One of them is Dayenu. Do you like Dayenu? This is my favorite. Ilu ilu chotzianu mimitzrayim velo asa ba'em sfatayim. Dayenu. Hey, go on timing. Okay? So now, has anyone ever read this song in English? Because it's a beautiful song. Pretty much the word Dayenu means it would have been enough. Yeah, it would have been enough. What are you saying in this song? It starts by singing, Kama ma'alot tovot. How many amazing things has God done for us? And pretty much the song, it's about how each time God did something amazing for you and you were like, Dayenu, it would have been enough, but then he outdid himself. He didn't just give you chocolates, he gave you your favorite chocolates in a beautiful box and he wrapped it. And then he made them by hand. You know what I'm saying? So what is the song about? Very important. How God each time outdid himself, but whatever he did was so good that it would have been enough with only that. But then he did something extra, right? Now, if that's the meaning of the song, it means, right, that whatever you say before the next thing is good enough like that, okay? But the next thing added something better to it. Yes? Does that make sense? One of the things that you say goes like this. This is like why I became a teacher. I had this question for years. No one answered. I'm like, that's it. I'm becoming a teacher because I need to answer this. This was my question. One of the things you say every year, which you probably didn't pay attention because maybe you sing this in Hebrew or maybe you're behind, you don't know what's going on. You say like this, quote, Ilu higanu lechar Sinai velo natan lanu et Torah, if we would have come to Har Sinai and God wouldn't have given us that Torah, Dayenu, it would have been enough. You heard this? Let's say it again. If we would have come to Har Sinai and God wouldn't have given us the Torah, Dayenu, it would have been enough. I was like, what? What is the whole purpose of coming to Har Sinai? To get the Torah. So how could you be saying if we would have gone into Har Sinai and not received the Torah, Dayenu would have been enough? Does this make sense to anyone? No. It's as if you're begging for money. You go to someone's rich house, you knock on the door, The guy goes to get you money. He's about to handle you $1,000 and you run away. So why did you come here? The whole point of coming to Mount Sinai was in order to get the Torah. So number one, how could we be saying that just coming to Har Sinai would have been enough? It means, okay, you remember, Dayenu means that whatever we got, it's somehow like whatever we would get later, but whatever we would get later was an upgrade. That's the word I was looking for, an upgrade, right? So now it means, yes, think about this, that just the experience itself of getting into Har Sinai was somehow like already receiving the Torah. Does that make sense to you? Yes, because if we would have come to Har Sinai and not received the Torah, would have been enough. But if the whole purpose of coming to Har Sinai was receiving the Torah, it means that whatever happened when we went into Har Sinai was already like receiving the Torah. Yes, everyone sees this? So question, what happened in Har Sinai? That it was already like receiving the Torah. Number two, then we also have to ask another question. What extra, what upgrade did God do to Har Sinai that was even better than receiving the Torah in whatever way it was in Har Sinai? Yes? Everyone hears these questions? What is it that God did? Like, what was the extra, right? You want to ask a question or you want to answer?
Can I answer in a way that I'm asking you if it's the answer?
Sure, but it's going to be a very big build-up, but you could say, yeah.
Is it like just the fact that we were able to have a direct connection with God there, that was like enough, and then we got...
That is true. We had a very, very big direct connection with God, but there's other things that also happen in Har Sinai, but that is true. We were all having prophecy, we were all there, right? So now, how do we understand everything? Let's start from zero, okay? Now, I'm going to really, really, really confuse you, but I like doing that because that means you'll depend on me until I stop confusing you. And I like having control. Okay, what do you think about this? Your sister already know I torture people, so it's okay, right? So now I'm gonna really, really confuse you, but you hold on. You're gonna really get it, okay? So I'm gonna say a bunch of things, and then I'm gonna connect everything, okay? Everything works well, right? Now, we think that the Torah is a result of history. Pretty much mitzvot come into history because certain things happen, and therefore a mitzvah was a result of it, right? Like, we went out of Egypt, we didn't have bread, and therefore we ate matzah, so now we eat matzah on Nisan, yeah? This is what we think. Is this what most people think? You have parents, and therefore God made a mitzvah called respect your parents, right? This is not the way it works. There's a famous statement in the Gemara that says like this, quote, Histakel ba'oraita ubara alma, quote, God saw into a Torah, and therefore, he made the world. Again, God saw into a Torah, and he made the world. You guys know when we start Shabbat, we always say this famous song, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, right? Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, right? One of the quotes of Lecha Dodi goes like this, Sof Maaseh v'machshava tehila. Okay, what do you say? Quote, Sof Maaseh, the last thing made, v'machshava tehila, was the first thing thought of, okay? Now, let's say you're an architect, okay? What is the last thing you make? The building, okay? But what was the first thing you thought about? The building, okay? Now, how do you make this building? What do you need in order to make this building? Blueprint or the design, right? You design it first, and then you make a building. Now, the ultimate building of God, it's obviously the world. But doesn't he need a design in order to make the world? I mean, God does not need, but isn't that the way it goes? Yes. What is the design of the world? The design of God is the Torah. Yes, now check this out. God saw into a Torah, and then he created the world. If the world is made according to a Torah, who came first? The Torah, right? So now, doesn't it mean that everything that is in the world had to be before in the Torah? Yes. Now think about this for one moment. You're thinking we eat matzah because we left Egypt. No. It's exactly the opposite. The world is expressing whatever is in the Torah. What does it say in the Torah? That on the 15th of Nisan, you have to eat matzah. Yes? Is that what it says? And therefore what happens? At some point in life, when we left Egypt, we didn't have any time to make bread. It was the 15th of Nisan, and therefore we make matzah. But now, check this out. It is not that I eat matzah because I didn't have time to make bread, but rather I didn't have time to make bread because I had to eat matzah. Everyone heard this? Because that was written in the design. In the design called Torah, there is a mitzvah that says you have to respect your parents. Therefore, God gave you parents. It is not that because you have parents, you do the mitzvah. I mean, obviously, you can't do a mitzvah if you don't have parents. Hopefully, we should all have parents. But, right, you have a mitzvah to respect your parents. Therefore, God created a concept called parents. Everyone got this, right? Because really, everything was in the Torah before. So now, this is the first point. It is not that the Torah comes in and fits in with the world, but rather the world fits in with the Torah. Everything is in the Torah, okay? The Torah is the design for creation, the mitzvot are given. Now, for the sake of everything I'm teaching you, whenever I say Torah, what does Torah means? It means the 630 mitzvot. This is the Torah, okay? What is it that was the blueprint of creation that God made? The 630 mitzvot. Actually, I don't know if you know this, but when you're going to have a child, there's an idea in Judaism that what is the first line you teach your children to say? What would be the first Jewish line you teach your children to say? So most people think mommy and papi. Okay, that's a word. What else do you teach them? So most people say Shema Israel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. No. What you teach them is this. Torah tzivah lanu Moshe. We have a bunch of songs. You like this one? Torah tzivah lanu Moshe. This is the Jewish Macarena. No, you know what I'm talking about? No. So the first line you teach your children says, Torah tzivah lanu Moshe. I'll teach this to you again later because I need it for something else. Morasha kehilat Yaakov. Which means the Torah was commanded to us by Moshe. It is an inheritance for the children of Yaakov. Why is this the first pasuk you teach them? I'll tell this to you later, okay? But again, the Torah was commanded to us by Moshe. It's an inheritance for the children of Yaakov. Now check this out, how cool. How many mitzvot did we hear from Moshe? How many mitzvot are there? 613, yes? How many did we hear from Moshe? How many did we hear from God? This is easier. The first two commandments, right? We heard directly from God. That means that 611 came from Moshe, no? Check this out. What is the numerical value of the word Torah? 400, 6, 205. How much is this? 611. Because you heard 611 from Moshe, but everything else came from God. Actually, the whole Moshe Rabbeinu, if you ever do this at home, Moshe Rabbeinu, which means Moshe, our master teacher, whatever you want to call it, because we learned the whole entire Torah from him, adds exactly to 613, okay? Because he taught us the Torah. What is the Torah? 630 mitzvot, okay? So whenever I say the Torah, even though it does has a lot of stories and all of this stuff, what you should be thinking of is what did God create before the world was created? What is the blueprint of creation? The 630 mitzvot, okay? Everyone got this? So now, first step. It is not that we keep the mitzvah because something happened. No. Rather, something happens to fit with the mitzvah, right? The mitzvah, it's a must.